guys, thank you so much for tuning back into the Touch of Love Cannabis podcast. This is episode number 10. This is Sean. I'm here with my boy Parm.
Yes, sir.
We got Michael from Grow and Share. How you doing, man?
I'm well, thanks, man. Doing well.
Yeah. I could see that big smile on your face. You had
I'm happy.
quite the experience.
Long night.
That's awesome. Okay, what is it about cannabis, man? Why cannabis?
Oh man, I've been passionate about cannabis for 15 years. Daily smoker. Always wanted it to be legalized. Finally, it was. Didn't really want to continue working in a space that I didn't believe in, or basically felt like, my life, like, fuck, I got to go to work. Like, didn't want that.
Yeah.
I wanted something that was easy to wake up to, exciting to wake up to, something that drove me, and that's cannabis. I mean, aside from the recreational side, I know by the laws or whatever, I can't technically say what it does, but how it helps me in terms of, being more personable, confident, relaxed. Like, it's just like, to me, it's my wonder drug. So,
Nice. That's awesome.
So I've always been a huge cannabis enthusiast.
Okay. So did you ever have a feeling that it would be legalized here, or like you were just like, oh shit, how did that come about? Like, how excited were you when you found out?
Oh, I was stoked. I mean, I expected it to be legalized because the government likes to put their hand in everything.
Okay.
And I mean, that's a lot of tax dollars to be not accepting.
Yeah.
And then, the court system is being overrun with like ridiculous charges for people that have like been caught with a couple of grams of cannabis or whatever. It's ridiculous. Something had to change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't say I was too shocked, but I mean, I was extremely happy when it happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice when it happened. I no longer had to, wait for that hour, I'll be there in an hour. And then like an hour later, like, you close? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just leaving now. I'll be there in an hour. And you're like, oh my God.
Bro, trust me, I've had days where I wasted a whole day. Like, I think from like noon until about 7 to 8 p.m. is how long I spent trying to get some weed.
Yeah, no,
Shit
for
was
sure. And then
unreal.
like, I remember like going away to like cottage country and you're like, fuck, I didn't bring enough. Like, I just ran out. Now I got to go into town and just like ask random people. Like, this is so sketchy. Like, I remember going to a yard sale and be like, sorry to ask you this, but do you want weed? Like, you're like, oh yeah, come in. And I was like, great, you're like the 5th person I've asked.
God.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Nah, man, that's amazing. So it seems like you're doing a really like fantastic job. You have an app, Grow and Share.
Yeah.
So that is that's available on the App Store.
It's not. So we're working on that. We're going to turn it into a PWA, so like a progressive web app, kind of like Twitter Lite. So then people can download it and it will act like a native app as if they had downloaded it from the App Store. At this time, we're getting some pushback from Google because they say we can't know for sure that people aren't trading other substances or exchanging, other substances. And we don't know if they're exchanging over 30 grams. And I'm like, well, that's kind of like every site though. Like any app, the app owner is never going to be there. Like, it's an app. So from now we're doing the PWA side of things. It's a mobile friendly web app right now. We basically launched it to get the feedback from the members that we have in terms of what they like, what they want to see different. And then we built out based on what they've said they want to see, the new app, I guess. Like, so the official launch date will be about 17 days.
Okay, nice.
And I don't know if you had seen the other podcast I did, but so I had explained to them that we actually have launched a dating app as well.
Yeah.
So it's called Smoking Singles, and it's going to be intertwined into Grow and Share. So, if somebody's looking for friends or
nice, man. Yeah, it really looks like you're doing something unique. So and you're really putting your effort into that, and it seems to be like very, very, I guess, strenuous, and there seems to be a lot of red tape and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's
there is.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I think the weirdest thing is the advertising. Like, it's basically impossible to advertise. So like I was like, we need to create something where it's a community for the consumers like myself, but then also has the ability of reaching those consumers from the retailer standpoint. So I just find it ridiculous how extremely difficult it is, to actually get your name out there. So yeah, it's been going well so far. We're launched across North America. We're basically focusing on Toronto right now.
Nice.
But as we grow, we're going to open up in the islands. So we're going to open up in Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica,
Okay.
Puerto Rico.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm gonna be using that app when I'm down there on my Latino excursions.
Yes, sir. Silly guy.
Yo, what was your first cannabis experience like? When did that first happen?
First cannabis experience. That's gonna be difficult to think of, man. That's a long time ago. Grade 9, maybe earlier.
Okay.
Probably earlier, but we'll say grade 9.
Did you like get high right away the first time you smoked?
No, the first time I smoked, I didn't really get high. Actually, I don't know if that's a common occurrence with most people. I feel like it kind of like fights it in your system or something. But then the second time, it's like, oh, it's supposed to be here. I got ripped.
Okay.
And then,
how did you consume?
We smoked an oil joint. So like, we got pretty blasted.
Yeah.
And then I remember a couple of the guys went back to. I was in high school because a couple of guys went back to school. Because we had like a rugby tournament type thing or whatever, and so they got called off the field by our coach. I skipped the game, which obviously wasn't great, but I knew that there's no way I was going to perform it well out there. So, but yeah, it was good. I ended up, progressively smoking more and more until I realized that, having a couple of drinks here and there is great, but sure is nice when you can smoke copious amounts of cannabis, wake up, and still do stuff the next day.
Yeah. Facts. That's one very, very big plus point for sure.
Definitely.
So like this was, let's say, high school. So you're just smoking, consuming, like, did you started to appreciate it a little bit more at that time? Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was always about trying as many strains as possible.
Okay.
And then like kind of feeling them out, because back then we didn't have, like, one of the great things about legalization is we now know, okay, this is likely going to help with back pain. This will help with sleeping. This will help me stay awake. These are other cannabinoids that they're now like CBG, and so like
the information is crazy that we have now.
Yeah. And so like it was pretty difficult smoking all these different strains and trying to figure out like, okay, I like this strain, I like this strain. Okay, I love this strain, but can I get it again? So yeah, I don't know. I smoked quite a bit, and then I traveled around Europe for a while and found that there was quite a big scene over there for smoking. So
Nice. What countries were you out there in?
Oh God, everywhere.
Consuming in all of them too, or
not legally, but yeah, it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
I think I was in Florence for about 3 weeks,
okay?
so it was fun.
Nice.
Pisa. I don't
So
know.
Italy.
Yeah. You list them, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Croatia. I don't know. We went all over,
Nice.
so it was a fun time.
This was when? Like what years was this?
I went twice, but the first time was in grade 12.
Oh shit.
So
Okay.
grade 12 trip. So it's like all your boys on a trip together.
It was like a Europe trip.
Yeah, it was a Europe trip,
Okay.
like for the school or whatever.
That's dope.
So,
That's
there's,
sick, man.
so there's like 50 of us.
Wow.
So it was a fun time. And then I went again later on in life with my family. But like my brother,
Okay.
he's my business partner. He's chronic as well. So
Sick.
so it worked out well. We basically just went to the first store that we could find a bong and started our trips.
Well, that's the first thing that you have to think of as soon as you land.
Yeah.
That's-
How are we smoking?
Yeah. Let's get down to business. You know what I'm saying?
I love when you go to the islands too, and you're they're like, oh man, this is the best weed ever, and then you get it, and you're like, it's black, and there's seeds in it,
Right.
and like there's strands coming off of it.
I went to Jamaica last November, and as soon as I landed, obviously, like the bus drivers and shit have it, right?
Yeah,
So
that's my brother telling me too.
yeah, like they're giving me like
much you want?
$50, like $50. They're offering me for like 3.5 grams of some like tangy, and it's like, bro, like what are you guys saying? What are you guys doing right now? You know, I'm not getting fooled. Like that's not happening.
That's Canadian prices right
Yeah,
there.
even then, 50
No, it's
USD.
it's not even
Not paying
that, but
Nah.
it was like gross though. Like the weed was gross. gross?
No, it was nice.
Oh, it was good weed.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
okay.
nice. I definitely like was
usually
considering it, but I was like, nah, it's still too much. Like,
No, that's fair.
yeah.
They have good, like, obviously in every country they have good weed, but usually on the tourist side of things, like when you're going to like Montego Bay or something, like they're like, oh, let's just give them whatever. Like I remember even like in Bahamas, like smoking this stuff, and I'm like, I feel like we could smoke 20 bongs, and you're hearing the popping and crackling inside of the bong as you're doing it, and you're like, I don't feel like I'm getting high at all. It might make me pass out from all the smoke in my lungs, but that's about it.
Dude, that's sick. It seems like you've smoked in a lot of different countries. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Trinidad, Bahamas, Barbados,
Yeah,
Europe.
nice, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually I studied in Europe, so like in England,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I got introduced to cannabis in a big way. Even though it's not legal there, like a lot of my boys used to smoke there, and I kind of got the appreciation for it there, which is crazy because like not being legal and all this is still such a big culture in all of these countries, and eventually like it just has to go in that direction, man. You know?
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy that in some countries you can be like jailed for years for smoking, and you're
Yeah.
like, really? Like,
It's foolishness, man.
it's ridiculous.
Like, I understand if you're like, it's distribution. I can see why people won't want drug dealers. But like, if someone's consuming, man, let them live their life.
Yeah, and even
Fuck
if you don't want drug dealers, just make it legal.
Yeah, easy as that.
Well, not just that, but like they say, like, oh, we're gonna wipe out the black market or whatever, and it doesn't farm me whether they're there or not. But the government comes out and makes it legal, and then they charge outrageous amounts of money, so the dispensaries can barely make a profit.
Yeah.
So they still end up going back to the black market.
Well, and then all it does is basically allows the black market to raise their prices and still stay under. So you're really just making them make more money. It's like it doesn't make any sense.
That's jokes. So you were in sales a lot, right? As you were growing
Yeah, a lot
up
of
out of high
sales.
school. What was
Lot
that
of
like?
sales. It sucks at the beginning.
Okay.
Once you get your groove, I think it's one of the best positions in the world.
Okay.
I mean,
Why do you say that?
because it's all commission based, so if you're good at it, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And when I wasn't interested in what I was doing, the only thing I was interested in was a paycheck. So
I mean, fair enough,
I had to
right?
do something that was going to pay. So I went in my first sales position, I went a month and a half without a sale. That sucked. It was horrible. Didn't make a paycheck.
Wow.
Wasting gas. I was doing 12-hour days, 6 days a week. So it wasn't fun at all. But then you start making those sales, and then you're like, well, if I can make one, I can make two. And,
You just go from there.
if you can get a rhythm going, then you can do quite well. And, I would say, like, the ability to sell and how high you can grow in sales, you can eventually do as well as lawyers are doing, and doctors,
For sure.
So I mean, it depends on the doctor, but you can do quite well in it. So I like sales a lot. Also, I'm extremely personable, so I get to meet new people every day, which worked for me because that's like my whole vibe.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I just didn't like what I was selling.
What were you representing?
I sold HVAC. I sold alarm systems. I opened up a stainless steel company, so I was selling kitchenware to hotels and restaurants.
Nice. That was wholesale, right?
That was wholesale.
Yeah.
So, like, all pretty boring. At one point, I was doing, I had a wholesale company. I was selling clothing, jewelry, like everything, like apparel, basically.
Just chasing the bag.
Yeah, man. This guy's like selling anything and everything.
I just worked. All I did was work, man. I would all my boys, all they do is work. So we basically were like, it'd be like, we'd finish up at 8, we'd grab a drink, and then go to sleep, basically. And then you wake up the next day and you do it again, and you do it every day. And, I was saying, like, okay, I'm doing 6 days a week, and most of them are like, pussy, I'm doing 7. So you got to grind. It's expensive. Toronto's ridiculous. It's too expensive, man.
For real.
Dude, you gotta be pretty rich to live down there for sure. You gotta be well off. Or you just gotta be a crazy hustling motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take number 3.
Holy. So what was your first foray into cannabis like?
What was my first what, sir?
Your foray into cannabis. So after sales,
Yeah.
how did you kind of make your way into this industry?
I got a company. I got hired by a company to do like their sales as well as their search engine optimization.
Okay.
everything was going well for a year or so. But it was right during the lottery, and
Okay.
they didn't win.
Uh,
So then they couldn't launch their whole entire business plan, basically. So they started, their funds started running out, and paychecks started becoming more sporadic. I was like, in terms of the people that I worked with, like them all, think they're all great people, but I couldn't continue. Like we were just talking about the expense of Toronto, I couldn't continue living on the hopes and dreams that I was going to get paid.
yeah, absolutely.
So I basically had to leave that, and when I left it, I was running the stainless steel at the same time. So I just basically leveraged the sales from that, and then built up Grow and Share and put my money into Grow and Share. So it took a long time to build Grow and Share, especially with no like app development background or like anything like that. So like a lot of learning and a lot of like researching like why apps were winning certain awards in terms of like interface and all the rest. And so, I went through all of that. Then I had to do figure out how to do like wireframing, and then find the right developers to hire, which was a job in itself because there's so many, and like, you then have to like evaluate the work that they've done and look at like some of their products. So the amount of apps I had to download, just test them out and be like, this is pretty glitchy.
Yeah.
No wonder you came in X amount lower than the next guy. Like maybe I shouldn't use you. It was a lot of work. It was a ton of work. And my brother has he's a chartered accountant, so he's like the finance side of the operation. But I mean, he's not a sales guy, so it's on me to figure out,
how to get the brand out there.
I do that background basically.
I feel you.
I don't know. It was quite a long feat to get to where we are.
I can imagine, man. Like you have to learn this whole new skill. Like that's some crazy shit. Like you're pretty much an app developer. Like,
well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't code. I hire guys for that. That's another language for me. It'd be easier for me to learn any other language, not that though.
It's a bunch of ones and zeros, man.
Yeah. Like one of my developers who I became pretty good friends with, he was trying to teach me how to code, and after about 3 weeks, he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. There's no chance you're ever gonna learn this. Like, I'm like, yeah, I don't have smarts here, man. Sorry.
That's not your category, that's not your shit.
No, definitely isn't. He's like, you're useless. And I was like, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
I mean, everybody has their own.
Yeah, everyone has their own strengths.
Whatever skills you can bring to the table, as long as you're all kind of bringing something together. So that's the main thing. I mean, so where did this? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We're all smokers here.
You said that, but then I forgot.
That's why I got that sock on the fire alarm, dude. We be hitting dabs and shit in here. We be hitting dabs in here, and fuck, it went off one time. We had this hash rosin maker on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he brought a bunch of fresh frozen hash rosin, and we were just hitting dabs back to back to back, and that shit went off. So I learned my lesson from there.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. That's quite noisy through a podcast.
Yeah, for real.
I had mine go off hella times, bro. I just took it off the wall.
Bro, it's unfortunate that like they can't sense like smoke of like cannabis versus like actual like fire. Like
I'm surprised because I have one in my place, and for a decade I've smoked inside of it. I have no balcony. I don't really like. I went like the fans in the window or whatever to exchange the air type thing or whatever, But like I've never had my fire alarm go off. The whole building though, its fire alarm goes off constantly.
So when you first started developing Grow and Share, where did this idea come about? Like okay, I want to do this, and I want this app to be this certain vision that you had. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, so I'm not a great one, but I'm a grower. I'm from Quinte West, so everybody grows out there. And if you're not growing, then what we would do is we would basically either share what we had grown with each other, or we would put our money together to buy, bigger amounts, so that we could then we could save money, but then we could also try a bunch of different strains out. So when the legalization happened, they came out with something saying you can share up to 30 seeds a day, and you can share up to 30 grams. And so we had based our whole thing around, let's go after growers. Name the company Grow and Share. That will make sense totally. And then obviously as we went forward with it, we're segregating a lot of the market. There's tons of people that don't grow, but they buy. So we should open this up to buyers and growers, which is why we're going to have to rebrand the company at some point, because some people will be like, oh, but I don't grow. And I'm like, yeah, it's not just for growers. I know the name, but yeah, it's for buyers as well, which is just like one little hurdle that's kind of cumbersome. It's super annoying having to do that all the time and explain to people. But basically, we knew that, okay, cannabis is now more expensive. I mean, when I was younger, I used to pick up an ounce and it would cost me $110, $120. You know, now you go to a dispensary and it costs you, let's say, $160 on average, about that. And I don't blame them. They have to make their money. But with that, if I'm buying a half quarter, and we know that roughly 70% of Canadians are buying half quarters, which is huge. It's a massive amount. Half quarters on average are $40. There's 8 half quarters in an ounce. You're talking about $320 for every 28 grams in half quarters you purchase, because you don't want to get stuck with one strain. So buy that ounce, save $160, and you know that's what, like $1,900 and something dollars a year. And then additionally, take your strain that you've just purchased, put it on the platform, meet up with somebody and exchange what they have for what you have. And then basically you can diversify your supply and you can save money. So that was like where the whole basis of that came out. And then we knew we were going to bring retailers on. But when we started talking to retailers, a lot of them were saying that, not everyone, but a lot were saying that they didn't feel that they were getting enough service for what they were paying from other advertising companies. So we decided we'd have to make something that was much more detailed in terms of what we were doing. So we provide them with real-time analytics in terms of, like, we know when the most shares are happening. So we know what areas the most shares are happening within. We know what strains people are sharing the most.
That's important stuff to know, man.
Yeah, and it helps out both sides.
Everybody.
Because if the
suppliers,
if the dispensary starts holding all the cannabis that you want, that you're always sharing, then huge benefit. And then also, like, a lot of retailers think because they're in a certain location, they're going to get, because of the amount of traffic in that location, they're going to get way more sales. But as time progresses, we're going to be able to figure out, more shares are happening in these areas where rent is $2,500 a month versus $10,000 a month. So your store could actually probably do just as well in this area as it does in this area, except you're going to be saving 5 times your rent basically a month. So yeah, there's a lot of different benefits. And then the way that it works for retailers is they can actually put their product right on the platform. So like what they have in their store. And then let's say you're like, I'm willing to travel 5 kilometers. I want to pick up a half ounce of indica. Then it's only going to show you all of the stores within that area. And it's going to show you the half ounces and indicas that are available, instead of showing the sativas and instead of showing you quarters and half quarters. It's only showing you what you're looking for.
Filtering out.
Nice. And then you can basically compare 2 stores, or 3. We're trying to do it so you can compare 4. We're working on that. It's a little trouble, but
comparison, like how?
Comparison, like prices. Like, okay. So like, like instead of clicking on one and then like being like, okay, God Bud sounds good. Maybe I'll go scoop that today and let's see what these other places have. And you're like, okay, God Bud, it's 120 for the half or whatever it is. And then you go to the next place and then you're looking at another one and you're like, maybe I'll go with Pink Kush. And then you go with another place. So maybe somebody wants to like compare, okay, I see that God Bud has 26% THC. Okay. Pink Kush has 26% THC. What were the prices again? So you can compare
So it highlights all the different details about.
Okay. And then basically people can decide like, okay, well, all the THC levels are the same. The terpenes are all quite similar, except this half ounce is $20 cheaper or $30 cheaper. So like helping consumers save more money by basically figuring out exactly what strain they want before showing up, and then helping the retailer out, because realistically, if people are buying, half quarters, some retailers have said, but it makes me more money. Well, it does if they come back to your store. You're right. If they buy 8 half quarters from you instead of buying an ounce, you're making a lot more money. The likelihood of them coming back to your store isn't high. We have 450 dispensaries roughly in Toronto. just Toronto alone. So, like you're, it's like somebody going and buying a hamburger from McDonald's and being like, oh, they're gonna come back. Like, no, they're gonna go to another McDonald's next time. Like, so if you're able to provide them with something that's, a great strain, in a high quantity, that doesn't cost a ton of money, and is saving them money, coupled with great customer service, there's more likelihood they're going to come back to your store, rather than feeling like I just picked up a half quarter costing $40, like robbery.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then obviously as more strains start hitting the platform,
especially more people coming out with 28 offerings as well, like that's going to increase.
Yeah, that's a big problem too, right? Like a lot of the stores, they have 5 different ounces. You go in, you're like, how many half quarters you have? I got like 30 different types, 40 different types. You're like, why don't you offer all those in ounces? So like as stores, start to do that and start seeing that a lot of people are wanting to purchase a bigger amount now that they have the capabilities of swapping up what they have for what somebody else has. It's taken away from their problem of being stuck with that one strain. So I think that's a huge benefit. But yeah, I'm long-winded. So, sorry. One question 20 minutes later.
I don't even know what I asked.
It happens, man. It happens.
Trust me. So how does this benefit the users?
Well, aside from being able to diversify their supply, being able to save money, we know that the average consumer on our platform is smoking about an ounce a month. So that's why I said they're saving about $1,900 a year if they start buying ounces instead of half quarters. If you're a grower, you've got pounds of cannabis instead of, like let's say you have 4 different strains growing. Let's say that you won't want a 5th or a 6th, Yeah. So instead of having to go back to the drawing board growing, and taking another, 8 to 12 weeks, whatever, now you have to go to a dispensary and you purchase it. Or you go on the platform, you post what you have, you go meet up with somebody that has purchased from a dispensary or somebody else that's grown, and then you're able to swap.
And it's not just flour, right? It's
right now it is just flour. We are going to work into like edibles and all that type of stuff, but we have to make sure that there's like stronger like ways to circumvent idiots, basically putting like something else in that edible. Like the last thing I need, or the last thing anyone needs, is buying an edible, think that you're only going to do an edible, and then before you know it, you're doing LSD or something.
Yeah, you're blasting off.
Well, I mean, even like Halloween, you see people, they put like razor blades in candy. Like there are idiots out there. So, we have to make sure that we're protecting like our members, and then we also have to make sure that we're protecting like the company. So we have to figure out the best way to do that, to implement that. Sorry. But then like the connecting thing too. We have, like I was saying last night, we went to, a fair, then we went to a bar. If I wanted to go to a bar in the city, we have 1,000, 2,000 to choose from. Then we have lounges, we have clubs. Okay, so where's that for cannabis? We don't have it. So there's really no way that you can go out and meet like-minded individuals that are, cannabis enthusiasts, and whether it be for friendship, dating, hooking up, whatever. We don't have that. So we've started building that dating app into the platform so that, people can use filters like, am I looking for a daily smoker or a weekly smoker or a monthly smoker? Like, so you can meet up with, people that are similar to you. And then, like, if you're looking for friends, then the algorithm will show you the other people that are looking for friends as well. And if you're looking for hookups and whatever else, like, great. Like, now it won't be like a hookup where you're like sitting there for like, and I'm sure this goes both ways, but like you're sitting there like, okay, I've got to listen to this for a little while. Like now you're talking about things you're both interested in, so it's great.
No, that's important for sure. It's actually like, because it's such a big part of people's lifestyles. Like, it's got to be like the forefront, like you got to be able to.
People that are passionate about cannabis is totally different than people that are passionate about alcohol.
Like it's a lifestyle.
Is that even a thing? Like,
that's what it is.
Other than you're a connoisseur, like,
no, like I don't mean like wine though, or like scotch or like something like that. Yeah, I'm sure there's scotch groups and wine groups and all that type of thing.
There's like craft beer group too, man.
Hey,
there's a craft beer
group. So like, I mean, I guess there are groups for everything, but like,
It's
a
not
lot
a
of-
lifestyle like cannabis is, though.
Yeah,
Alcohol
that's
is
what
not
I
a
mean.
lifestyle, bro.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
It's a health problem.
yeah.
It's ruining a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And also like what I hate even calling it a drug, but like what drugs have come out that you can think of that have so many great things behind it from doctors and scientists and whatever else. Like you think about all the drugs out there, and cannabis is the only one that I can think of that they're like, okay, it potentially can help out with opioid addiction, it can help out with sleep, it can help out with stress management, it can help out with cancer patients. Like it's just like the list just keeps going on and on. So when I hear somebody that's like negative or like against it, I'm like, why though? What? Like I understand kids shouldn't smoke it. I agree. Let their brains develop or whatever, and then if they decide they want to, sure. But I mean, in terms of like, you know, just hating cannabis because what? Because you grew up in a different era and you think it's the devil's lettuce still? Like open your eyes, open your mind.
For real.
The only other drug I can think of would probably be like shrooms.
Okay, yeah, that's my
That's the only
mistake.
other
Shrooms
one.
would be another one,
Yeah.
and I think that it will become legalized as well soon.
For sure.
And when it does, it'll be on the platform.
Yeah, but I definitely agree. Every other
Probably
one.
just as much studies being done across the world
Yeah.
on psychedelics.
Yeah, actually, that was bad call. I was thinking about other drugs, but yeah, shrooms is definitely one.
I
that
mean,
you're right about.
otherwise, yeah, like 100%.
I think
all the other
microdosing
ones are
shrooms is
kinda,
huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other ones are kind of wild, though.
Yeah. People even have like on YouTube, like people post their like, oh, I've taken LSD for like the last year every day, and like they post their experiences and stuff like that. So,
Well, yeah,
That's
I've heard that about LSD too, but I also have a friend who did a little too much, and he's like, yeah, I have like flashbacks and stuff. I'm like, what do you mean you have flashbacks? He's like it'll just kick in randomly, like a high kind
yeah,
of. And I was like,
yeah.
great, I'm never driving with you.
Thanks for letting me know that.
Yeah.
Nah, for real, that can happen from LSD. Like that's actually because it's synthetic too at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, every drug has its nuances for sure.
Yeah.
You know, dispensary near here?
Yeah.
We have 6,
Yeah. No, we have 7.
7,
I think so.
7,
What's the population here?
30K, 40, probably 40K,
Yeah, 30 to 40 at this
probably
point.
40.
Yeah.
Really, eh?
There's way too many, bro.
I mean,
I
bro,
hear it sucks for them
It's
because
just-
they're always competing against each other,
Yeah.
and it's hard to make that go up. But
I don't even know if they're competing against each other, man. It's really just a couple.
I think-
2-3 dispensaries really competing.
I think competing wise, there are a few that are really in the lead, and then there's a couple that are really clearly far behind. But it's inevitable that there's not going to be much around in the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah.
oh, it's ridiculously. How do you like what I was saying about Toronto?
There's more than like we were saying. You're probably not going to go back to the same McDonald's, but you'll probably go back to the same McDonald's more often than you would go back to the
for
same
sure you will.
dispensary.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Well, even me, like I'm at Band Dundas, so we have like Soul Cannabis, Dash and Co, Tokyo Smoke, like everything is right there.
Yeah. Yep.
And like it's not that I'm not about loyalty; it's about where I am. If I'm walking one way, I'm not going to turn the opposite way to go to Tokyo Smoke, and I'm going to go to Seoul. And if I'm going the other way, I'm not going to care to go back to Seoul. I'm going to go to Tokyo, and I switch it up all the time because it just depends on where I'm going. So it's good in that sense because
It's
they're
just
everywhere.
convenient. Yeah. It's convenient for sure.
But I mean, if there was like, a place that was saying, okay, we offer 16 different types of ounces and our prices are on average about $160, like, yeah, I'd be in that place all the time.
So you're after like value and stuff, like in terms of like.
Well, I don't even mean like I would pay the extra money for the quality, but even if you think about like a half quarter that costs $55, let's say, which is a huge amount, but let's say that it's like the top strain that you can get, even if that half quarter is $230, $240 at an ounce value, it's still a way better deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're still saving $200 plus. So I'll always buy the bigger amount because maybe I won't smoke it that week or that that month. But like it's nicer to have that. I don't know, to have the smoke on you, and then additionally to like, all right, now I can just go exchange with other people and I can save money at the same time. It sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Like what's an all inclusive go for? Like average all inclusive is like what, $3,000 for 3,500?
Pretty much.
So you're saving like 70% of what it's going to cost you to go an all inclusive at the end of the
That's
year.
crazy.
It's a nice way to put it for sure.
For real.
Now, Parm and I we've been moving towards the 28 grams.
Like 14s and 7s more so,
Yeah.
because that's more so where like the craft options are at. Like,
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Other than the Simply Bare bags, like there
Yeah.
isn't many 28s that we like would want to go for sure.
Are you sativas or rated goods?
Doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter, man.
Weed.
Whatever tastes good.
Terps.
Yeah,
Yeah, do you go for the terps more or the THC?
terps.
Yeah, definitely the terps more.
So you're pretty big into it. Because I feel like a lot of people are going after THC, and I'm like, you shouldn't be.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense, bro. Like, there's sometimes there'll be 32, 33 where you don't even feel like you smoked anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, what the fuck was that?
No, a lot
for
of these
sure.
numbers are inflated, man.
Yeah.
A lot of them are.
Oh,
inflated.
a lot of these. Yeah, there's a whole article done on it where they like took all of these different strains and had them retested, and they're all dropping like 5-6% lower than they say they are. And
Yeah, and it's like, why are you hyping up something, and why are you telling people that it's going to be a certain way when it's clearly not going to be, and then you're just setting them up for a disappointment.
yeah, fair enough.
You know, like you're putting yourself in that hole in a way.
You're repelling people from buying shit again.
Facts.
Because I would rather buy something that's telling me what it's going to be like, even if it's like 12%, let's
Bro,
say.
if it's 12%, I'll buy it
Yeah.
and be like, okay, sick. This is what 12% feels like.
Yeah.
Not what a fake 32% feels like.
Yeah, I got you.
For real, man. And even like some of those 17, 16s are, they hit.
Uh-huh.
It's just a matter of like
I'm
how well it's
surprised
grown.
you don't find a lot of the older strains. Like, I haven't seen Northern Lights in a store. Never seen White Widow, White Rhino. Never seen any of the older
I have
strains.
seen White Rhino.
Yeah.
The other ones though, I think it's just based on like how they grow. Maybe there's maybe not a good bag appeal from what people have grown so far,
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
or maybe like the THC levels just don't reach as high as they need to for the market right now. Because that's
I think that's. I mean, it's a big
thing.
thing. Like you were saying, it sucks that people are trying out these strains that think that are gonna hit at a 32%, and they're hitting at like a 22% or something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I'd say, and this is just pulling, like I'm just pulling it out. It's not like a real stat that I have or anything. But like from people that I know that smoke, they all go after THC. Yeah. And I'm like, you don't understand how valuable terpenes are.
Yeah.
And how much like you could smoke a 15 with like a high amount of terpenes in it that will hit just as good as a 25 that have almost no terpenes. So
Yeah.
yeah,
and it'll taste better.
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
biggest
and it
thing.
will taste better. Yeah,
You'll enjoy a lot more, I promise.
So, dude, how are you guys like talking about safety measures in Grow and Share? Like, how are you guys implementing those?
so I mean, everybody knows that before legalization, you met whomever to grab your cannabis.
Of course, yeah.
We obviously can't control bad apples on the platform, but we basically, tell people make sure you're meeting in a well-trafficked area. So if you live downtown, meet at the Eden Center. There's 1 million people cross through that pathway every week, so it's unlikely that you're going to have troubles with somebody causing you, concern or problems when you're in a high trafficked area. And then as we move on and we grow bigger, our goal is to partner with as well as open up our own cannabis lounges so that we can actually have safe spaces where people can go in and they can basically, let's say they're a member, they get a discount or even free access to the cannabis lounge on certain days or at certain times, and then they're able to basically share right inside of that cannabis lounge. And that is beneficial for them anyways, because just like, I mean, I know we referenced McDonald's already, but McDonald's does the $1 coffees or something like that they're losing money on, but they know when you come through there, you're going to buy 2 other items. So same with cannabis lounges. If you let somebody in there to share their strain, they're going to come in, they're going to sit down, they're going to smoke weed. If you have a wall of bongs to rent, like like kind of a bar scenario, they're going to rent glassware or whatever to smoke in. They're going to buy food. If there's a festival going on or like an event, a singer or something, then they're probably going to pay to watch it. So there's just lots of other avenues that they can make money from. And then if we were able to do something like that, it obviously adds to the protection of the member. And for myself, I don't really care. I'll go meet with whoever because I did for the whole time before legalization.
We've all done that,
and
Getting cars with random people. Bro, even at because most of these transactions happen in the fucking dark in some alleyway, bro.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I also think
Or some stranger's car, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
I also think, I'm sure that if people are buying and that's nothing to do with my app, but I'm sure if people are buying in pounds, then there's a little bit of safety risk there because you're handing them a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if I'm a regular from some guy before legalization and I'm buying, like ounces or whatever, like he wants to see me the next week, so like he's still a businessman or she's still a businesswoman. Like they just, it makes no sense to cause you harm. And so kind of like our platform, you're exchanging cannabis. I mean, if you get, everybody gets reviewed basically on the platform. So it's kind of like Uber or like Airbnb. If you have a really horrible rating on Airbnb, you're not going to sell. You're not going to rent to too many people. If you have a horrible rating on Uber, you're not going to be able to get too many drives. If you have a horrible rating on our platform, then you're not going to get many shares. And then if you've done something that's caused harm or concern or whatever, then basically that will go through an HR situation where we figure out exactly what's happened. And if it's an area where you've stolen cannabis or something, like, okay, well, you're banned from the platform.
For sure.
I don't know. There's like, when you're done, you can basically rate on like the time limit it took for somebody to get there. So you don't have to deal with those old issues of people saying like, I'll come meet you in half an hour, and you're sitting in Dundas Square and you're waiting and you're like, all right, it's 40 minutes. Now it's 50 minutes. Like, nobody wants that. So, you can rate on consistency. You can rate on quantity, quality. And then in terms of quality, we've been implementing the back end of our site with as many strains as we possibly can. It's a little bit tedious because we have to buy the strain, take pictures of it, and then...
Wow. But that's the proper way to do it, man.
Yeah, but then if somebody posts, let's say, Pink Kush, and they don't necessarily have a picture with them right now because they've just jumped on the app and they're walking home, and when they get home they'll have the picture or whatever, instead of just showing a blank profile, which isn't helpful, then it will automatically upload the picture that we have of Pink Kush from the back end onto their profile until they've changed it to their own picture.
So how do you link that? Like, how do you know that specific Pink Kush strain or whatever it is, like, that they've gotten?
How do we know? What do you mean? Sorry.
So suppose someone goes to the dispensary and buys a pack of Pink Kush, and they want to upload it onto the site.
Yeah.
So, like, what information would they use? Like, how do you
So they go to post a strain on the page, and then there will basically be a place you start typing, and it will filter through all of our strains.
Okay.
If we don't have your strain, you can just type your full strain in. Otherwise, if we have it, you click on it, and we've taken so we have like, a lot of our buds have gone through like THC ratings, stuff like that, to figure out like what an average THC rating is. And then we put that information on the CBD, the terpenes, a little description of it. And then it basically all automatically filters into your profile. So you then can post many strains at one time. And then again, if you don't have that strain, if we don't have that strain, then what it will do is actually collects that information so that the next time you go to put it in, it'll be in there.
Okay.
And then we can use that picture that they've taken. And we can use the information that they've provided about that strain to filter that strain into the back end of the site.
So how do you determine the accuracy of that information?
The accuracy of
the, like, whatever someone, like, suppose I'm just some Joe Blow that's like uploading some
ratings, community ratings. So if you then go and share something that you just said was 33%, and somebody picks it up and they're like, "This is Snickle Fritz, and it's the crappiest stuff I've ever smoked," you're going to get a horrible rating, and then from there we'll have to deny basically like take it out of the back end, like take their product out of the back end, and they'll like probably get like a 1-star, 2-star, or something like that. And then everybody wants to keep honest, basically. You're keeping everybody honest. You want to be honest. You're on the platform because it's a community. You want to meet other people. You want to exchange strains. You want to save money. I think honestly, our community, and when I say our community, like cannabis community, is like one of the most honest.
For sure.
Easygoing.
For sure.
Everybody wants the same thing. And like, yeah, of course there's going to be a bad apple or, somebody on the app at some point, because it's inevitable. And there's on every app. I mean, you go to like Craigslist and, all of a sudden people are selling like fake Gucci or fake whatever. And like, yeah, there's always going to be that person. It's just about, making sure that we wean them out of the platform as quickly as possible. And I think the community can really help with that because they're able to give us the exact
community's job for sure. Yeah. That's where that transaction is happening. That point of contact right now. Yeah, for sure. It's dope. So what's your eventual goal? Like, what do you want this to become?
Well, before this, you could buy cannabis and you could grow it. Now it's kind of opened up a new way of acquiring cannabis. So at some point, our goal is that by 2025, we've reached 100,000 members across Canada.
Okay. What are you at right now, out of curiosity?
We're almost at 5,000, sitting a little lower than 5,000.
Nice.
Problem is that we are across North America. So we have a lot of areas, like some areas will have 30 people or 40 people in one area. Then the area right next to them will have 1 or two. So we really have to focus in on growing like the bigger cities, and then kind of expand from there. But I think that what will also help is when the new app comes out, where they can actually download it to their phone and they can get notifications about, like a lot of times I'll forget to check an app, but then like a notification will pop up on my phone about something to do with that app, and then I'll click on it to go into the app, and I'm like, oh yeah, totally forgot about this app. And I think that's happening a lot right now because it's a mobile friendly web platform, but they actually have to go to the web to sign in, whether it's on their phone or whatever, which was a bad call on our part. But in terms of like a beta version, it's not the end of the world, because it was kind of to give the community an idea of what we're building, and then kind of get the like feedback from them to figure out how to make it the best possible community. So the ultimate goal would be to grow it to a size where, you know, we have all the retailers, and we don't just go after dispensaries. We go after dispensaries, seed banks, head shops, cannabis lounges, and grow depots. And then eventually we want to go after clothing lines. So being able to advertise all of these individuals directly on the platform for the consumer side, and then for their side, they basically have the ability of turning our members into their customers. So we would like to grow to a point where, as a consumer, I can jump on and I can say, great, there's 1,000 people within walking distance of me to go share with. And I mean, I don't really know if I don't want to say there isn't, because there may be, but I haven't ever heard of a cannabis dating app in Canada.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
So, I mean, it would be nice to grow the app in the same sense that, you know, Tinder and Hinge and these people have. It'll be smaller because they're going after everybody, and we're going after a market, like a more niche market. But at the same time, you know, if we can get a few 100,000 people on the platform, and you know that you have the ability of meeting somebody that's, you know, has the same hobbies as you, and obviously smokes and whatever else, and it's going to be hugely beneficial to the community as well. And then we want to start doing events. So the event will be kind of like a bracelet party. You know, you'll have the idea of, when you're inside the event, this person, because the color of the bracelet's looking for friends, this person's looking for dating, whatever, really helps out in weaning out who you should talk to and who you shouldn't talk to. And then we'll start doing, you know, more like, you know, it's like what's called paint and sip and paint, or something like that. It's like drinking and painting.
Yeah.
Why not session paint? We'll start doing like little events here and there to like kind of bring the community together in, you know, in what they do.
Yeah, that's important. The event space is really important. And like we have a friend that is in the event space as well. And it's just, it seems like this very new and exciting, you know, industry.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much potential. Like there's so many different ways to go about it in that field. Like you can do so many different types of events. It's fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah. And I mean, as I said, I'm very personal. I told you I never shut up, as I'm sure you realize now. You know, I love research, and I love doing like event things. So at one point, I didn't end up doing it, but I was designing like some called the Concierge Club. Unfortunately, there's an actual Concierge Club that's pretty big already. That was the name of that. So,
Oh shit.
but it would be basically like you know, organizing everything from your dates, your anniversaries, your, you know, parties, you're going away, travel plans, like everything. But that's another topic for another day. We'll talk about that after the podcast.
Okay.
A lot of stuff in the
man.
streamline.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges? I know there's probably been so many, but like, what are some that really stand out to you? Like, as you've been going through this journey of developing the app and getting into online?
I mean, there's obviously smaller challenges in terms of like the regulations and, you know, because at first what we had done, we started saying, okay, all these states are legal. Not all the states, but all the states that are legal, we started saying, okay, we'll open up here. But then we started finding that some of those states actually don't allow you to share up 30 grams a day. So we had to very meticulously go through every single state and what their regulations allowed, which is more just time consuming than anything. But then I guess like any company, I mean, even some of the biggest companies have to go through this, but you know, data crashes, which, you know, was horrible, because, you know, I was in Trinidad at the time, and all of a sudden we have a data crash on our website, and, you know, I'm in another country that's at the time in the area I was in, pretty spotty internet.
Yeah.
So it's pretty like difficult working around that. And
That's the worst.
then we had, times where like, like bugs get in or whatever. And so we had to figure out like, which is kind of good in the sense. I'm glad it happened because it is the beta version right now. There's not really anything better that I could have asked for, because what it allowed for us to do was figure out who the top security companies are, and basically pay them to protect our platforms. And I say our platforms because we have Token Talk, which is like a community place where people can basically ask questions and post pictures of their strains and whatever else. And then we have, the growandshare.ca, we have the app.growandshare, then we've got growandshare.info. So we needed something that was going to be able to protect us and not have to go through that, especially when we do our official launch and then people are like, wow, this site sucks, like keeps on crashing on me. So we had to make sure that, and then we had to make sure our servers were big enough to be able to hold like not just what we have now, but what we expect to have in the future. So now we have servers that can hold 250,000 people. And then of course, as we start to grow, we'll have to change those up and go for sure bigger servers. But yeah, there's a lot of little problems that add up,
man. Like from all different directions. Like there's like different types of problems. Like it's not from the same like category of things, like software, legal. Like there's so many different areas where you have to be an expert in pretty much.
Yeah, and then I think the biggest problem for us was it's completely new. There's nothing like this out there that I know of. I've never heard of anything. Maybe there is, but I researched like crazy amounts and I couldn't find anything like it. So convincing people that was real. A lot of people were like, yeah, okay, like, what is this shit? This doesn't exist. I'm like, no, it does. And they're like, okay, so explain to me again. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a long process.
Okay, let me get my spliff 1 sec.
Yeah, like I gotta find a way of getting in front of everybody so that when I get these questions, I can explain it. And then, you get 200-300 people being like, oh, okay, I get it. So I'd be like, all right, do you understand now? Like, yeah. I'm like, hey, time to go to the next person. And like the marketing too, because it's so difficult. I do guerrilla marketing, and I guess like having done door to door for like multiple years helps out with that. But I'll talk to 300-400 people a day, just walking. I just basically will start. All right, it's obviously super easy if they're smoking a joint, because I can just go up and have a quick conversation with them.
Really?
But then I'll also like stop like people, like I'm that dickhead that's like, hey man, you smoke weed? And most of them think I'm trying to sell them weed, so they're like no. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. He's like, why? And I'm like, I was gonna give you my business card. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I smoke weed. I'm like,
You do this like on the streets in Toronto?
Yeah.
That's jokes.
Sick, man.
So, basically, everyone smokes weed, man.
Hey?
At that point.
Oh man, I get some real like Karens, I guess we'll call them. Like, not late. Like I had a lady in Kensington Market, and she's like, "I'm calling the cops," and I was like, "Okay." And then like the cops showed up, and they're like, "Yeah, what are you doing? You're soliciting what for what?" I'm like, "It's my company and it's legal. Like I don't know what you want me to do. I can't advertise."
Literally advertising with word of mouth.
Yeah. So like, and then like a couple of dispensaries have put up posters for us, so it helps out when people go in there and they can see what we are, and then they can basically just scan the QR code and then be taken to the sites to sign up. So there's a few troubles we've run across, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more, but
oh yeah, bro, definitely not the end of them for sure.
No. It's a lifetime.
Yeah, life will keep throwing shit at you, but you just gotta keep going through it. That's the main thing. Everybody, like, there's so many people I talk to in the industry, like growers, people that are like us, like CEOs, whatever, owners of companies. They've all just been through so much bullshit. So it's a common thing. And like, it's just commending to see like people with their passion. They continue to go forth no matter what, man. They don't give a fuck what's stopping them. They're just going. Yeah. And that's the thing about cannabis. People are passionate about it like that. So they're just, whatever it takes.
For everybody else's company, I can do it for mine.
For sure. For sure.
Work tooth and nail for everybody else's company and give up on this? I don't think so.
Yeah, dude. That's exactly how I feel too. Like we have our own business too, but the way I feel about like Touch of Love is just different, bro. Like it's just passionate about this for sure. In a different way. Yeah.
This will be it'll blow up. You guys will be huge soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Cali, doing some interviews out there.
Yeah, I mean, like
comparing it to like Canada, go to Colorado.
It would be crazy. Even just like West Coast Canada. Yeah. It'd be crazy to go out to, because there's so many people out there that like we've had contact with, but like to go see them in their facility would just be unreal.
Yeah, that would be it'd be sick for sure. Yeah. And it's just nice to see, like when I say Cali, Colorado, it's just nice to see like places that like Cali, for instance, like, you know, legalized before us. And if you see like how they moved along in terms of like what you can get in dispensaries and stuff, and then you see that happening here now. So now you can go and get the, you know, shattered joint that's been rolled in like oil and then dipped in keef, and you're like okay, like things are really opening up here now. And like, you know, like there's like I can't remember what the drink's called, but there's a drink out that, you know, has quite a small amount of THC in it. But it's pretty sick because I have buddies that don't drink at all, or like don't drink alcohol at all, and now they just take like a 10-pack of these to a party, and then they're just drinking with everybody else, and they're doing like the same, like, you know, Kings and beer pong.
It's
and
like CBD.
else,
is it a CBD drink or just low THC?
It's low THC. It might have CBD as well, but it's yeah. So then they're, you know, still be able to kind of hang out with everybody, and you know, can still pay it to them with the beer pong, and you're like, all right, well, you have 10 cans, have fun drinking 6 now.
For real though, like there's companies like that are trying to bridge that alcohol and like cannabis beverage as well, like,
yeah, like tinctures almost like within the alcohol. And
exactly,
yeah. And I have like friends that, you know, do drink, but they'll take a dropper and drop their own
nice,
you know, some THC oil in their drink or whatever, and then, you know, that's what they're drinking for the night or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I can only drink a few beer tonight, but my few beer have about 30 milligrams THC in it. Like,
you'll be feeling good.
I'm sure there will be a huge thing eventually here. Like, and like cannabis lounges, like we don't have many of them, but as they start to open up, and then they're able to incorporate like dining into it. Can you imagine going to a restaurant and then being like, okay, we have infused.
I don't think there's anything like that, really, is there?
No, there isn't, because of the law, but like it's going to open up.
Yeah.
There's like, eventually it has to. There's no way it can't. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all why it wouldn't. So, you know, it'd be so nice to be able to go in a restaurant and be like, we've got, you know,
that's the dream, man.
Infused drinks, infused food, infused desserts. Like, so yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I think that'd be a nice touch.
A little 5 milligram cheesecake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, give me another slice. You know, on a consumer side, like, okay, what if I want to find a red eye glass bong and I want to find it for cheapest? And I know that there's about 8,000 head shops in Canada to buy bongs. I'm in Toronto. There's still probably another 800 here. So like, where do I go to get my red eye glass? And do I just like go on every single one of their company websites until I find the one that's the best price? Or do I just go to Grow and Share, click on that I'm looking for head shops, click that, you know, type in red eye glass, have them all pop up, and then press compare and compare it against all the other stores in the area, and then figure out like, oh, okay, this one's actually $50 cheaper. Might as well go here to pick up my bong. And then like seeds, obviously, growers want seeds. So being able to trade that on the platform.
So head shops will also be able to be on the.
So head shops are on will be on our platform. Cannabis lounges will be on the platform, so they can show like the event spaces at, like, if they have like, you know, a reggae artist coming in or a comedian or whatever, they can like put that up there so that people can like link it to their calendars. And there's going to be the head shop so that they can like advertise their accessories. Then there's going to be grow depots for growers so that they can advertise, you know, the lights and whatever else.
Guys, this has been episode number 10. We appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate Mike for coming down. As always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, and please stay positive, keep spreading love. We'll catch you in the next one.